Welcome to another week of A Friendly Nudge. So this week we're going to make kind of a play with your food version of chimichurri because I've got mint that I've added to it. I'm not using all of the onion. I'm not using garlic in it. We're kind of playing around. This is just sort of my take on a regular version of chimichurri that I modified for some of this FODMAP stuff that I'm playing with. You won't have to be subjected to my food issues for long. I think we're going to get it resolved here fairly quickly. So this is a great base sauce for other things. You can make modifications to it, make a salad dressing with it. I love it on grilled meats and vegetables. So I'm not going to use the white part of the onion. By all means, you can use it in your version. You can also add 3 cloves of garlic that you chop, which is going to make it more of a traditional chimichurri. And then I'm cutting up the green parts of the scallion, using the flat of my knuckle and keeping the fingertips out of the way so that we don't end up with fingertips in the chimichurri. That's just, it's a reasonable pile of scallion greens. And then I'm not going to use a whole lot of mint. I don't want to overwhelm it with the mint. But this would go great with something like grilled lamb. So we're just going to use just a little bit of the mint. I'm going to kind of separate the piles. I'll use that other for something else. Make a great mojito. And then, I'm just going to cut this up real fine. And, then we'll add that in. When I'm trying to figure out quantities, I'm just looking at ratios, right? I don't want as much mint as parsley or as much mint as the scallion greens. I just want it in there to kind of add a little bit of flavor. Now, with the parsley, this is Italian parsley. I'm going to get rid of the thick stems because no amount of chopping is going to make those, where I want them in the chimichurri. And I'm not going to use a food processor. I'd rather just use the chef's knife so that we can keep some of the texture of the herbs in there. And, if you don't cook with herbs, I invite you to try to use them a little bit more frequently. It adds a lot of nutrient density to what we cook. It also just, really brightens up the flavor. So, once again, I'm just going to get it chopped really fine and add that in. So, now we've got the Italian parsley. Now, with the oregano, since it's got such a strong taste, we're not going to overwhelm it with oregano. I'm just going to put just a little bit in. Traditional chimichurri, has oregano. Some recipes I see call for dried oregano. I'd rather use fresh if I have it. So just going to chop this up. Once again, keep the fingertips out of the way. And, that's probably, I don't know, it's probably less than a tablespoon. But it'll add some great flavor. And then, I took this and used it, I just took a couple of tablespoons of this, added it with some more olive oil and some Dijon mustard and made a dressing for a cucumber salad that I was doing. So I stirred it off with a pinch of salt and a pretty fat pinch of cracked red pepper. And then we'll give it a glug of, that's probably more than a glug, a few glugs of olive oil. And then I'm going to go get kind of heavy-handed with the red wine vinegar, because I want this to have a strong kind of acidic base, and then we'll adjust that with olive oil and a little more salt. I've also done this before where I've added Parmesan or Pecorino Romano instead of so much of the salt. I'm adding more of the olive oil to it. And then, we're going to give this a taste. And it was just still a little too much with the acidity. So I'm going to add just a little bit more salt. Like I said, this would also be, great with, say, Pecorino Romano, which is a salted cheese. But, I invite you to just take this stuff and play with it. Use it with grilled meats, but then also see what you can do with it with other sauces as well. So have a wonderful week and play with your food.